What's up, guys? Different video than usual today. I'm making a deck profile for my Weiss Schwarz Kaguya deck. Have a little cool matching playmat here to go along with the video. And if you play Weiss in English, you probably have seen the recent banlist announcement. That's kind of why I'm doing the deck list. This is this is a pre-banlist deck list. It's I guess it won't be that useful in a few months from now, but it's for posterity, mostly for my own posterity, but also show off a really cool a really interesting deck tech that I don't think anyone has really done. I haven't seen too much about it on the internet, and I feel like it's like a really solid build. So I just wanted to show it how it worked and talk about it a bit for my own posterity before I dismantle the deck, and for maybe hopefully you guys find it interesting too. And in the future, if the ban list comes off, you never know. It might be worth checking out. So yes, Kaguya. First of all, start off the bat, it is standby door, so that part's not that different. This is the two quote meta climaxes everyone runs: level 1 standby, level 3 door. I'll go through that later, but let's see. First, you got the 4K runners and 3 Shikarikyus. Pretty clear why these are all good. These are two of the few cards getting banned, of course. But yeah, this is a mill running clean cut. This is a power pumping Ricky. So on play, reveal top card of deck. If it's a character, plus 2k. So you give it to this, it's easy clean cut 4k. And then it mill runs next turn. So it's really crazy good synergy. But this is where the deck gets a bit different. I run 3 of this tag Chica, or flag Chica, sorry. So yeah, with this what this card does, maybe you don't know, this is a event bonder. So on play, discard a card, salvage a Spartan training. It's a 1/0 backup event. I'll show it to you later. And the other effect, it's a coin flip. So beginning of opponent's draw phase. So beginning of opponent's draw phase, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is level 1 or higher, you return this back to your hand. So it's a potentially free. It's a coin flipping plus. When the crazy part about it is that, well, I think this card is just insane all around. That's what makes this whole deck work so well. Obviously, you can free plus, and then the runner has an open slot to go run to. And also, if you reveal, then you know what you're milling. So if it's a climax, then you can always just choose not to do the mill run, so you get the guaranteed cancel. It's a really good synergy there. Also, the fact that this can go back to your hand, that means you can play it again the next turn and do the event bond again, discard any card in your hand to salvage the event. It's insane. So I do want to say, first of all, that I do not run the 0/0 Kaguya Brainstorm, the promo card. Shoot, I don't have a copy next to me, but if you know what it is, it's the one used in the meta deck, Full Sprint Kaguya, I think it's called. That is a people run that mostly for the hand filter as a way to get climaxes out of their hand. But with this card, you really don't need that. You can get rid of any climax you want at almost any time and get a really good event to use at your own pace. So I think this card is just insane in the set, and the whole package is just great. I really don't understand why people aren't using it. But let's see, continuing. I've got 2 of this Eye Bestowing Courage. These these 3 are the cards that are getting choice restricted. So this is a drop searcher, power pumper. On climax play, return your hand plus 2k to something. Really useful. It's a drop search, and this is also the card that resonances with the finisher, and it has a 1/1 resonance package too, but I don't use that, even though the 1/1 resonance bond is the meta combo that the decks run. So mine's does not do that. Very important to note that distinction. So right now my deck runs 4, 3, 2, 3. I played around with the ratios a lot. I built this deck. I think I built it like maybe a week after the set came out. I was just looking through all the cards, making it my own pace, and I was looking on the online decks, and people weren't really running it. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's not that hot. But I tried it out. I've played this deck for like 6 months, 7 months maybe, something like that, and it's solid. It wins me locals all the time. It just feels great. I honestly, I think it's better than the meta deck, especially, I guess I'll go into later, but I think it's better positioned in the meta as well. We got 2 of these. This card is on play, you can pay 1, and then swap a card in your hand and level. And you can also pay 1, send a waiting room, and top check 4, add a character. I run 2. This is a really important card, but I guess it doesn't become super clear until you see the engine later. We got 1 free running level 0 reverse bomb. I just got it because I mean, running is crazy good with all this bounce back that this has. And yeah, you want a 5th runner for sure. I run 1 stock swap. This is a twin driving stock swap, which is a crazy good combination of profiles in my opinion. I really like stock, or what do you call it? Twin drives. But I run 1. Next, okay, going to level 1s. You got 4 of the standby combo. This is level 1 on reverse search. Combos with the standby. I assume you know that if you're watching this. So pretty self-explanatory there. Honestly, this is something that you probably could cut to 3. I find myself not actually using the on reverse search that often. The deck has this deck that I'm built has really good hand, like all the time, so I don't necessarily need the plus. This is a potential cut. I got 3 of these Pressure of the Top Seat Miyukis. So this is a really good card. It's deceptively good. You'll figure it out later. But for now, when a card, when you trigger a climax, you can give a character 2k. So it's a kind of luck-based situational power pump, but it comes in handy very often. Like, you'd be surprised how often it's relevant. And I mean, I even just run these in the front to attack sometimes. But the other effect is nuts. Is when a card, once the ability activates up to 1 time per turn, when your card is put into your level, you may pay 1. If you do, look up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose a character, add it to your hand, and put the rest in your waiting room. So it's a pay 1 for a +1, which is crazy. Like, yes, it only activates when a card enters your level, but as you'll see, that is not necessarily just when you level up. Next card I run, I got 2 of these 1/1 Chica. It's a level assist. So every character in front of it gains power equal to its level times 500. Its other effect is its act. So rest 2, choose 1 card in your level and 1 card in your waiting room and exchange them. So you can just, once per turn, swap a card in your level and waiting room. That triggers all of these. You'll get +1 for each of these on your field, at least. So very good plussing engine there, but that's not even the end of it. This is the 1/0 event bond that matches with this card, with Flagged Chica. This card is a 1/0 backup. You can only use it if you have Miyuki or a Chica on the board, but that's pretty much always, because you're always going to have either this, or, I almost never run into a situation where I can't play this. It's a 3500 backup, which is crazy for a 1/0 event. Like, the typical 1/0 backup is 2k, so 3500 power pump is insane. And this is what I feel makes the deck partially so good against the current meta with standbys being so dominant. This is like a standby deck that is purposely meant to overpower other standby decks and win board against them. 3500 backup, really good. The downside of it is that when you use it, you have to choose 1 card in your level and 1 climax in your waiting room and exchange them. It's important to note that if you have no climax in your waiting room, you can use this, and there's no secondary effect. Like, you just skip that part of the effect. But yeah, so obviously climaxes in your level are not always good, but in this deck it's actually fantastic because doing the swap, putting climax into your level, triggers the Miyuki. So the insane part is that you can turn any of your really good backups that already help win your board, like by a huge amount, into a pay 1 top check 4 add 1. So you win board with this, you mill bad cards off the top of your deck with it, so you eat less damage, get yourself out of bad deck states, and you plus with it. Like, this is an insane package. I can't believe people aren't running this. I'm really gonna miss this deck. Let's see. Yeah, that's all the level 1s. So you can kind of see the synergy here with, another really important part to mention is that sometimes you want to put the climax in your level and just leave it there, because then you can use this card, pay 1, swap a card in your hand and level, to get the climax you want for finisher turns, for free standby plays, and even more plussing with this, because you activate on your turn. This activates once per turn, so it's enemy's turn works and on your turn. So you see what I was saying when you don't really need this on reverse search? It's because you have so much hand size with this deck. You can pay out dirty stock whenever you want. You always have huge hand all the time. It's just nuts. I'm going to level 2. I run 3 of the blue 2/2s. So these go from 7k up to 11k, depending on your board. This is kind of controversial. I know a lot of people, almost everyone in the meta decks, they run the yellow U Ishigamis. So that Ishigami is a 6k, so he's 1k weaker, but he has hand encore. So when he's reversed, you can discard a card in your hand to encore him. I think this is, I mean, honestly, that's something you could swap out. You can very easily, if you wanted to, run the Ishigamis instead of this. I put this card in for a few reasons. First of all, it's blue. So on the fringe chance that, oh, I do want to say I run one of these 3/2 blues. So on the off chance that you need to play a blue, you have these blues, these three, and the 3/2 Icy Tail to, you know, maybe have the color if you want to play it. Another reason is because, well, if you want to play that or this, you know. Another reason, again, I kind of built this to be sort of anti-standby. A lot of people in my locals have been playing standby for many months. Let's see how that changes with Dal and Kaguya getting hit, you know. But just the fact that this is naturally stronger makes it so when you're playing other standby, you pretty much win unless they commit some plus to it or some like, power pump. So just the natural forcing them to use resources to get over your cards definitely outweighs the whole if they beat you over, you can just discard a card to salvage, because like you want to win board easily. And the fact that you have a 3500 power pump makes all the little power matter much more, because this is a 7 on a typical board. Let's say you have it's 10k, let's say you have 3 other characters on board, you have 1 blank slot. I don't know why that would be. This would be only 10k. This would bring it up to 11k, the level assist, if it's in front. And this would bring it up to a pretty respectable 14.5. 14.5 is not a number you can really beat. Like, some cards can tie it, but unless you purposely plus a lane, you can't beat a 14.5. Versus if this was an Ishigami, it'd be a 13.5, which is, you know, a little more realistic to beat, especially if they play Climax on their turn. So, you know, just natural higher power. It's really the whole point of this deck, is to be sort of like as anti-meta as possible. Those are the only level 2s I run. I do not run the 2/1 free fresh counter. And the reason for that is because while this deck does have fantastic plussing and hand size and all that, the one thing it is lacking is search. So a lot of the cards I run multiples of. I don't do as many. As much as I love 1-ofs in decks, like when I deck build, I generally put a lot more 1-ofs, because I think Weiss is such a you know, toolboxy game. You have access to almost anything whenever you want, so you can get as many choices. I am running a lot more multiples because this does not have the best search. The only searches it has is the drop search, the Ricky, which you kind of don't want to use past level 1 anyway. Like late game when you play this, you do it for the power pump, not necessarily for the, you don't do the Ricky effect. There's the very costly put a card into your level and then swap it out with this, but I only do that for climaxes usually when I really want to get them. Yeah, see, like this pluses off of saving your character. This is a draw plus. Like you trigger this draw plus a million times. You trigger door, you can salvage a character, but there's not that much search. So I was testing it for a while, and I found that even when you run 1 or 2 free fresh counters, you don't actually get it that often. And you don't need it as often as you'd think, because, again, this card gets you out of bad deck states too. It is basically, it's a backup, swap a card, pay 1, top check 4, mill 4 cards, basically. Get climaxes out of your stock, get rid of bad cards in your deck. It kind of does everything. So the free fresh really felt unnecessary. Yeah, so if you're wondering why I don't use the free fresh counter, even though free fresh counters are amazing cards, and in most decks I would always run it, this deck you really didn't need it. Going on to level 3s, I got 4, I was blanking on the name, 4 Kaguyas right here. This is the crazy good finisher. That's what makes the set so insane. Well, the level 0s also make the set insane, but this is the card that everyone's still going to run once banlist happens. People are going to stick to these two. It doesn't matter how insanely good the Ricky or the free or the mill running clean cut is, because people are going to run this. This card, it is a on-play heal. It's 95 base, so weaker than average, but it has an effect where, well, on climax combo, when the climax is played, it gets on attack, pay 1, burn 1. So obviously that's good, and also gives this card 2k cross turn. So you play climax, you attack with it, you pay 1, you burn 1. This gains 2k. It'll keep that plus 2k till the end of the opponent's turn, so that it can probably live on board, because this will bring it up to, what's this, 11.5 on the opponent's turn. This will be 9.5 plus 2k. It's 11.5. This brings it up to 13, and then you have this 300 backup. So they're not running over a 16.5. I guarantee you that. Yes. The other effect of this, which, I mean, I assume we all know this card already. The other effect, this is not related to the climax. You can do it any time it gets a reverse. When this card's battle opponent becomes reverse, you can reveal the eye bestowing courage from your hand and discard one card. And if you do, burn one to your opponent. So this is important because this, you don't need the climax for this. It doesn't matter whose turn it is. So if this is just on the board and your opponent crashes into it, you just burn them for one, which they will crash into it because, again, they cannot run over a 16-5. Or they could just side into it and then you'll live from not taking damage. So really, really good. Again, that's also why this backup is so good. 3,500. Again, you can't run over this without committing like massive resources. Next card, I run 2 of the Shoga or Miyuki. This is the early play, no backups allowed, plus 4,500, and the clock kick. So, yeah, early play. When it reverses when you play it, it gets plus 4,500 until the end of your opponent's next turn. So your turn, and then the next turn will be alive, so it will definitely live for a turn. And during this card's battle, all players cannot play backup from their hands. But that's only backups. You can play events, which is why this is so good. I keep saying the same things, but this deck is like perfect. This synergy is like, it blows my mind how people don't run this. But yeah, so this will, on the turn you play it, and I guess the opponent's turn after that, this will be a 95 plus 45, that's 14k. This brings up to 15.5. And if they somehow get over 15.5, you bring this up to 19k with this backup. And no one's running over that. And when you attack, your opponent can't play backups, only events. And not many people run events that deal power. It's not that, I mean, good cards that do that are not that common, you know, like most of them are bad. Like this is the exception, you know. The other effect that's really important, it's a experience. So you have to have level 4 or higher in your clock, which again is really, really easy. All you do is you put a 3 and a 1, and if you don't get that somehow, you can easily just swap them in with these. Like, I've literally never, I've played this deck for like 6 months. I've never had a problem with getting experience. The experience is not a condition. It's easy. Anyway, if you have the experience, pay 2, ditch 1, and you clock kick on a reverse, just like the Kaguya. It doesn't matter whose turn it is, and you could just crash. Or, I'm sorry, your opponent could crash into it on their turn. Well, on your turn, you kill something, you clock kick it. Your opponent's turn, they try to crash into you, you clock kick them. So it's a guaranteed 2 damage. Again, really good for paying out dirty stock, really good for closing games, really good for stopping your opponent from killing you on the turn. You can kill the opponent on their turn. Very, very good cards. Again, that's why power is so important in this deck. You got the level assist, you got that. Power is very important in this deck. You want the reverses on both turns. You want to just own the board. So this deck is built to beat standby as much as possible, because right now board control is very, very in favor, and everyone's competing for it. You want that extra edge everywhere you can, hence all the little, quote, greedy plays. Next, I run 3 stock healers. This is pretty straightforward. It's early play stock healer, so if you have 2 or less climaxes, you can play it. It gains -1 level in hand. And on play, you discard a card from your hand, take the top card of your clock and put it in stock. So early play stock healer. I run 3. You could probably cut this to 2. I like 3 personally, but I generally prefer a little more heals. I don't play as bursty all in, because, you know, again, this deck, it is very consistent, but is not bursty. Again, this deals 1 twice. This is a guaranteed 1 damage, but, you know, there's no big swing for 3s. There's no cancel burn. So I like the stock heal to slow down the game a bit. Keep yourself nice and compressed. I run 1 of these 3/2 Chicas. This card I run 1 of because it's not that useful most of the time. Like, honestly, this card is all your characters in front of it get plus 2k. When you play it from your hand, which again I never do that. I think I've played the card from my hand once out of like 6 months of games. But if you were to play it from your hand, then you can discard a card to salvage any event from your waiting room. Or no, deck. Sorry, from your deck. But you know, the only events I run are these. They're easy to get with the coin flip. And anyway, the other effect is that when you play an event, you can give an extra 1,500 to something. So it gives your character in front 2k, and extra 15 when you do backup. It turns this 3500 backup into a 5k backup. And you can even split it. Like, you can give the 3500 to someone else and the bonus 15 to a different character to win 2 boards. But it's kind of nice. Most of the time, the reason I don't use this card as much as you'd think, because it sounds really good synergy and all that, is because your back row is very important and it fluctuates a lot. Again, your back row is usually always filled up with a character you're standbying. If you ever happen to trigger it or you play it, you have a standby character back there. You really want this in the back row at all times. Like, in most games where power isn't desperate, I run this. Like, I would not overplay this for this card. You really want this Chica, because otherwise you'd get penalized for playing these. But yeah, this card is here as a fringe case where you need to get over. Like, if you're playing another deck that has insane board presence or board control, like again, it's hard to beat 16Ks and 15/5s. Everything, I forgot what number I said. But if you do need that extra pump somehow, it's good to have insurance. So this is a one of. Yeah, I rarely stand by this out, but it's nice to have the option. Sometimes it saves you the game. Sometimes it really saves you the game. But yeah, your back row, usually this one's more important. And then I like to have this in the back row if possible too. I mean, the thing about this deck is there's so many good back row cards. Like, you want this, you want this, you want to stand by something over. So that's why you're forced to put this in front sometimes. That's why you're forced to play over it sometimes. Like, standby is not a plussing trigger in this deck necessarily, because you have so much on the board you want. Like your clean cut too, maybe it comes into play. You can even just play this in the back row, salvage the event, and your turn maybe it bounces back to your hand, coin flip. But yeah, this is insurance. This is a nice card to ensure that you win the board no matter what. And when it comes in handy, it comes in handy. When it doesn't come in handy, it's no big deal. You just put it into your level, and it adds to your experience. It's 3 out of your 4 experience you need for the Shirogane. Like, there's no downside to running this as a one of, honestly. The last one is the Icy Tail Kaguya. This is the trial deck card. This is a one of also for very similar reasons. If it's in the center stage, all characters get 1500. So it's another big power pumper way to win the board more. The best use I found for this is that when I want to stand by something into the front row, I stand by this one. When my back row is already filled up with a Kaguya in the back, or I really need to have these both on the board to get myself out of bad deck state next turn with this, then I'll stand by this into the front. It's 1500 to all your characters, which is nice. Icy Tail effect is always pretty good. On attack, pay 1, discard 1. You mill the bottom 3 of your opponent's deck. For each climax that's in those 3, you deal 1. So that comes in handy sometimes. It's good to pay out your dirty stock, and it's beefy and all that. Again, it's a one of. These are both very situationally very good, and they're both also situationally not needed. So one of each, and you get that nice variety a lot of the time. So yeah, that's the deck. Again, I think I've gone over the deck strengths a lot. I honestly think that this is the best Kaguya deck. I'm not going, not to say, I don't want to leave a bad impression, but this is the Kaguya deck that I think that I would take to any tournament over any other build. I like this build a lot. I've practiced with this build. I've tested out all the ratios, tried out different cards for months and months. If the banlist wasn't going to happen, if the banlist didn't happen, this is probably what I'd be playing for another couple months, maybe another year, who knows, at least until Attack on Titan comes out. But yeah, I guess the downsides of the deck would be, the main downsides would be the lack of search. Again, it's you have crazy hand size, but it's mostly drawing from this card. This is like there's so many MVP cards, I don't know what to say, but like this whole package is just like, you never have hand problems. The only time you have hand problems is if you just explode and if you somehow don't get this engine running, which I guess is not super unlikely, but if you don't get this engine running, you will run into some problems with hand size. But I don't know, like, even if you don't have the engine, this can get you pluses just when you level randomly. I stand by this as a priority. Sometimes even when I'm level 1, I'll stand by this over a 2/2. The dream first turn, honestly, like the dream first turn is you get either the mill runner or the free runner, and you stand by this out into the back row first turn. I've, like, there's been a lot of turn 2s and even 3s where I put this in the front, I kill something with it, and I kill something with this, clean cut it into the back. It's a 4500, which at level 0, you know, nothing runs over that. It can kill anything. Yeah, so the downside, lack of search. You have to you have to know what you're doing. This deck is one that you have to... I'd say there's not a lot... There's a lot of, like, situational circumstance that you have to adjust for. You have to play over certain cards a lot. You have to know what to get. It is, I think, a very hard deck to play. But if you know what you're doing, it has... Oh, I'm not going to say any of that. Again, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know what cards that you're swapping out. Like, when you stand by something, you have to know, is it okay to play over this other back row card? Is it okay not to? Do I skip the standby? Do I want to commit this to the front row? Do I want to gamble on the plus 2k to run over something, or do I want to side? Do I want to put a climax into my level and leave it there so I can take it out with this? Or do I want to take it out with this? There's just a lot of situational stuff. Like, I've even stand by this before just to get, like, if you don't get these, it's kind of hard to get these, the drop searcher, admittedly. I think that's the main appeal of the level 1 reverse. Whenever I do it, I either get this or this. Like, almost every time I get one of these 2 cards. And you want to keep one of these in your hand, like, as soon as you get it, and almost never play it unless you can bounce it back. If you can play climax, I'll play this out sometimes, or like all the time, I guess, for the plus power. But it's important to not waste these drop searchers. Oh, sometimes I search for this Kaguya too, actually. This is also important. Again, no way to search. This is how you get your climax, besides just randomly drawing it. Like, yeah, if you don't get it from this, you're just drawing it, or clock drawing, or... There's no other draw power. I don't have a on play, top check up to X, and add to your hand kind of thing. But yeah, that's the deck profile. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm very sad that the ban list is going to hit this. I've been saying for a while that I feel like the ban list should have definitely just hit the resonance package more than anything. I think that the way they're doing it now, not only is it lazy from JP, but it hurts the variety. It doesn't help the variety of decks, right? Like, when people play Kaguya, almost everyone plays the meta deck with the resonance package. So I thought if they hit that, you'd see a lot more cool techs like this deck, or maybe even I know, standby choice, like a very silly build, but or the bar combos, not bad. But no, again, that's an aside, a separate discussion. But this is a deck I really like. If you just want to try it and build it and play it for fun, it's like very, very fun, mostly because of all the different situations you get yourself in and how you have to know how to get yourself out of them. This is a very, very fun hard deck to pilot. I'd honestly recommend just playing it with some friends who are cool with you playing a banned deck to try it out. Yeah, and that's it. Any questions, let me know in the description. The deck is still legal for until April 1st. Until then, or then after that, it'll just be a fun little side deck you can try. I don't know how I'm going to change this for the upcoming ban list, honestly. The main thing is that the level 0, like, I know there's the free runner and all that, but the mill runner, especially, synergized so well with the coin flip. Again, on your opponent's turn, you reveal the card of your deck. If it's a climax, you know not to mill run. If it's not, then this goes back to your hand. You have an extra spot on the board to mill run with. It's a guaranteed mill run, right? Like, if this is your board, you attack with like this, then your turn, or your beginning of your turn, you reveal this. Okay, this goes back to your hand. This can go to 3 possible spots now, way more likely to live. And if you trigger what is it? Yeah. Or if you reveal top card of your deck, it's a climax. Then, oh, you don't get the coin flip, which, you know, kind of sucks. But you also know not to mill run. You're just going to cancel the first damage guaranteed. So, you know, there's no worse feel. One of the worst feelings in the game is when you mill run a climax. So you whiff the run and you waste a burn. So this saves you from that. There's really good synergy with all of this. Honestly, I probably could go... Oh, the Chica Ricky. Again, that's another thing I used to search out the unreliable pieces, but that's not as necessary. I could go without this, honestly, but the fact that you lose the mill runner hurts a lot. Like in most decks, like the meta deck is going to just change it to the free runner, which I don't know where that is in this big pile of cards. Yeah, the meta deck is going to switch to the free runner, the free running bomb, which is fine for most decks, but this one, the synergy is even higher with these. So don't know how I'm going to change it yet, but maybe I'll provide an update. Maybe I'll just, I don't know. I have to dismantle this deck before anything else, so that's why I wanted to get this video out here. Yeah, any questions, let me know in the description, or let me know in the comments. I can put the deck list in the description maybe. And yeah, I hope this was interesting to you guys. A deck you don't see very often in Kaguya. Or, I mean, as far as I'm aware, I'm the only one who's made this. Built it, again, when the set first came out, right when it came out. And I only played it at my locals, unfortunately. I didn't get to enter the online tournaments. But yeah, it's a really, really solid combo. Like all the cards synergize together really well, which I think it's what makes the deck fun. Like, I don't like playing a bunch of really strong vanillas, and I feel like Kaguya in general is like a very flavorless vanilla-y set. But this creates a whole very interesting gameplay that, again, I can say personally, after 6 months, you don't get tired of. So, yep. Okay, I was rambling too long. Take care, guys. See ya.